Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Sumi Thaividal. I'm the product lead on OSCER, which is NAVA's open source community engagement reporting system that we're building for this HR1 moment that states are facing right now. And we developed this solution in this time of change so that states have a better option and feel empowered. We started with a focus on HR1 Medicaid work requirements, community engagement requirements, but our vision looks to the future as OSCER expands to support more programs like SNAP. And let's start with what you already know and what we've heard from you. HR1 requires states to implement Medicaid work requirements by January 1st, 2027. The CMS rules are due this June, so that gives states roughly 10 months to be fully operational. And we understand that clock feels tight while your teams are already stretched, managing redeterminations, staffing pressures, and everything else that's on their plate. And we think the path forward should be clear. You should be doing it with people you trust, and you should feel confident about the direction you're going. So here's where the real implementation risk lives, and it applies regardless of where your state stands on the policy. So HR1 has an extensive list of exemptions and exclusions. That could be like veterans, caregivers, veterans with disabilities, caregivers, people with serious health conditions, students, tribal members. And the challenge isn't knowing that the list exists. The challenge is correctly identifying and applying those exemptions or the compliance at scale from different systems for hundreds of thousands of members every 6 months. So missed exemptions or compliance generates appeals, manual reprocessing, and the potential for a CMS audit exposure. The good news is, though, research from CBPP suggests that roughly 80% of cases could be resolved automatically, but only if states can connect to the right data sources. And so the most existing systems weren't necessarily built to do that, and that's the gap that OSCER fills. So we've been talking to a lot of state teams at the State Healthcare IT Connect Summit in February and directly with state leaders, and we're hearing the same three paths come up. Option one, extend with the incumbent vendor contract. Option two could be to build something new within the state, in-house. Option three could be a proprietary or SaaS solution. And all three are legitimate options, and we understand why states are considering them. The timeline is real, and you need something that works. But what we heard is that none of them feel quite right. It's too expensive, too slow, or there's too much lock-in or lack of ownership. There might be a misalignment with the direction that the state is already going in. And we built OSCER because we thought that there should be a fourth and better option. And OSCER is that better option. It's an open source application built specifically for HR1 work requirements. It deploys into your cloud environment in about 6 to 8 weeks. And what does deployed in weeks actually mean? OSCER is running in your infrastructure. That's pending any credentialing. We start connecting to your existing data and start configuring to your state policies. So there are no license fees or ongoing subscription costs from us. You own the code, you own the data, you control the roadmap. If your policies change when CMS rules drop in June, we can update the configuration. You don't wait for a change request or a vendor ticket. And because it's open source, you're not betting on a single vendor's priorities. The code and the data are yours. So we call that a sidecar application where OSCER deploys inside your cloud infrastructure, your environment, your security boundary. It sits along your existing Medicaid eligibility system without replacing it or requiring your current vendor to do anything. It connects to external data sources as well, and that could be like the VA disability records, student enrollment, and employment verification. And so at a high level, OSCER is designed, to shrink the workload at every stage before it reaches a member or a caseworker. So at the top there, you start with the full population that's subject to work requirements. And that first layer is connecting to external data sources. That could be like employment databases, VA records, student enrollment databases, state systems that you may not have connections to, um, but we can connect through with OSCER. The second layer is automated exemption and compliance determination. So that's like OSCER's rules engine, where it checks for those exemptions, like the hours or the income compliance, and automatically calculates it. So these two are important pieces of the funnel, well, important pieces of the funnel to reduce like the number of members who have to come into OSCER, and ultimately reduces the number of cases that a caseworker has to review. And we're really trying to reduce that number. That's what we're kind of measuring on. So for the members who do need to take action, OSCER gives a clear, mobile-friendly, plain language experience that we've tested with real Medicaid beneficiaries. And for the cases that need the human review, staff get a modern case management system, and it's built for this workflow, not like a general purpose tool. So today we're going to look at how we're making, this last stages even faster with Document AI. So we'll go into how OSCER can intelligently process documents. So HR 1 requires redeterminations every 6 months for the expansion population. So that's twice as often as before. So that means the document review workload your eligibility workers face isn't just a one-time implementation search. It's permanent, and it's doubled. I actually just went to a webinar referencing this, and it's actually more than doubles. It's not necessarily linear, but Doc AI can support with this. It's OSCER's intelligent document processing layer. When a member uploads proof of income or employment, this could be a pay stub, an employment letter, 1099. Doc AI automatically extracts key data fields like pay period, gross income, other fields, and the member does not have to enter those fields in manually. Then there's a confidence score that's given to show like how valid that document is, and how accurate the information was that was extracted. So states can decide what they feel comfortable with when setting that like confidence score, but we've seen anywhere from like 65 to 85%, and I can go into more what that means. Document AI, reduces the time each review takes. Caseworkers still make the final determination on cases, but Doc AI just eases that review process. Something to note, that every action, whether the AI extraction was like accepted, edited, overridden, is tracked within OSCER. So there's an audit trail available. It's not until 2030, but we're also hearing about potentially Medicaid payment error rate consequences, and we've seen that on the SNAP side. Doc AI is part of how OSCER, helps states build the defensible, auditable evidence trail from day one. So let's see what the difference looks like in practice for the member. In the current manual flow, a member completes 8 steps. They're entering, information the document already contains, then they're uploading the document separately. And then they review it and submit. In the AI assisted flow, it collapses to 5 steps. We're removing the two most time consuming steps. So here, the member would upload the document first. Doc AI reads and extracts the information, and presents the information to the member to verify. The member can review it and confirm the pre-filled fields. And then just on the caseworker side, they also see that information that was pulled, and a confidence signal. And OSCER can allow complex or low confidence cases to surface to the top of the queue automatically. And for states, that translates to faster case processing. So less burden for the member, less time per case for staff, and just a cleaner record for audits. And let's jump into what that looks like live. Oops. Let me go back here. So here I'll kind of emulate a member. They would receive a notification that they need to report their work requirements. And I would click into it and it would take me into the OSCER reporting app. And before I dive into this, just a little bit of background. OSCER's Doc AI integrates with uses Strata's intelligent document processing component, which uses AWS. So again, we're extracting key fields from income documents, pre-filling the members' reporting form, and giving caseworkers, the confidence scores to prioritize their queue. And this is all state configurable. A state can use Doc AI or it can be off, depending if they want to use the feature or not. Again, this is AWS. We can support other providers like Azure, and you can also just continue with the same, manual flow if you needed to. For our MVP and Steel Thread, we did start with just income documents because, research from KFF shows that it's like almost two-thirds of adult Medicaid enrollees between the ages of 19 to 64 were either working full-time or part-time in 2023. And so we started with the most common document type. We will expand to more document types in the future. And yeah. I also want to call out, we scoped this, designed it, and built it in about 3 weeks. So uh, we have a solid steel thread here that we want to iterate on and we'll test with caseworkers and members. So here, when the member comes to their home page, they could go into the exemption screener, or they know that they need to report activities. So let's click on report activities. And you may remember the before you start page if you've joined us in the past and seen OSCER. It helps to orient the member. We did add this to that before you start page where we ask the member if they want to use AI, if they're okay with it. So we have the option available to them. Even though that the member has to pick here, we do have the ability technically to get the reporting period from the document through AI and remove this page entirely. We left it for a few different reasons that we want to test, with members. If AI couldn't read the reporting period, that might cause some UI issues later, and we wanted to test out what it feels like for the member. So I'll pick February, click Save. And then here I will see that I can upload my supporting documents. We have just like this, pay stub generator, and so it's just a false pay stub here. Juniper Studios is the organization name, and we'll actually make it so that doesn't come through here. And the pay, just so you can see how a member can edit it. Pay attention to the pay period, February 1st to February 28th. It does meet the month that the member has selected. And then gross amount is 675. I'm just gonna download that. Okay, and then here we will upload our pay stub from February. And the member uploads their document before entering any details. This is the flip from the current experience. They are able to upload up to 10 documents. Just, if they have to report for multiple months, if they have a couple of jobs, if the job pays more than once a month, we noted that you might have to report a few documents. So Doc AI here is running in the background. The member sees, real-time feedback, accepted, accepted, they would be able to move forward with the flow. If the document is rejected, they might need to upload. So they know right away if their document is going to be valid. It does take about 30 seconds to a minute. That's just how the service works, the AWS service works. And we have this technically set up so they could upload those 10 documents. In that case, it would probably take a lot longer. But we would then update the user experience where we could either notify the member by email if they wanted to leave, or we could just set up an alert within the app when it's done. So here, I've uploaded my documents for February. It did successfully upload. It is checking the reporting time frame too, that it matched the selected time frame that I selected in the page before. If it didn't match, there would be an error that would show up. So here the organization name isn't there, so I can enter it. So this is the page that where the member can review the pre-filled information. They can edit it. We can also like autofill the organization name. The month is automatically pulled from that document, and that $675 of income gross amount was pulled as well. So they can click save and continue. And here they'll see a review of it as well. And then they can review again and submit, make sure everything looks good. Again, we give them some guidance if they are meeting the requirement. Submit report. Um, and so that's it for the member side, and I will jump into the staff side now. So if we log in as a staff member and go to the tasks view, uh, the caseworkers queue shows, the different tasks that are here. And then we have this prioritized where the low confidence submissions can be surfaced first because they may need more scrutiny. So the high confidence scores are there lower lower on the list. So this is the one I just submitted, and I'll open that. We can go into the task here. And we'll show like we have some icons here on the left. If I hover over it, it's pretty tiny, but you can see that it says AI assisted. And if I went to a self-reported one, so this one is a self-reported one, I would see that it was self-reported. And again, this is the staff retains like the exclusive capability to make the community engagement determinations. So nothing is automatically advanced without a caseworker review. And that's intentional. When we talk to states, they wanted caseworkers to have that control. So it is technically set up, if a state did want to auto advance for any reason, or like maybe pilot like how AI compares with manual review, that's possible. But currently, every caseworker does review each case, and it just makes it a little bit easier on how much time they spend. So before we wrap up with Doc AI, I also want to I want to show a version of the casework experience that we designed and we plan to test. We had a few variations of designs on this, and what you're seeing here is what the caseworker experience could look like. On the left here, we have that extracted. Oops, we have the self-reported, AI assisted, edited here, and the different pay stubs. And a caseworker can start a review of it. And here they would see on the left that, this specific document was the member had self-reported. So they had manually entered, the organization name, the month, the income. And we have the document on the right here. So the caseworker can easily match the information. Then they can decide, yes, this documentation is acceptable, let's continue. And here we have the AI assisted view where the caseworker can see what it looks like for an AI assisted review process. There is even the capability to highlight which sections were pulled, so making it easier for the caseworker to do some matching and make sure that that looks correct. Again, they can click yes, no if the document is acceptable. Um, so everything they need to make a determination is in, is in one view. They're not like switching tabs or systems. This one specifically shows an if a member edited something that was originally found from AI. And so maybe that one needs a little bit more scrutiny, but caseworker can make that determination. Um, so this just makes the review process faster, and we want to do some testing with caseworkers to see what would make the experience better or more clear. But we wanted to show a preview of what that could look like, and what's possible with the foundations that we have set up. Um, All right. And so just to restate, OSCER is ready to go. It's a working application and it can be deployed within your state. The rules engine is live, SSO is, working, and we can theme to your state's brand. Batch intake is running and supports large volumes. The exemption screener has been tested with real Medicaid beneficiaries. The VA disability integration is built, and it's ready to help meet the deadlines. And just one last thing we haven't shown in previous demos, but I just want to flag it. OSCER has a fully working mobile view. It's a little bit harder to demo that in these sessions. We know that the majority of Medicaid members access the internet primarily through a smartphone, so having a mobile view is critical. Members can, report their activities, upload documents, check their status from their phone. There's no app that they have to download, no desktop required. It's just making the process more easy and accessible for members. All right, so getting to an MVP, I don't want to oversimplify too much because there is, access or credentialing, there's the authority to operate steps, um, or authorization to operate steps that need to happen. That's unique to each state, but here's what like getting started could look like. We deploy OSCER into your cloud environment and stand up batch intake or API connections. Again, that's depending the credentialing. But depending on, and we can set up the batch intake or API depending on what your systems support. In parallel, we start data discovery, mapping your existing data fields to what OSCA needs. And then we start some of your state's exemption categories, your documentation rules, your access model for like counties or agencies, and all of this is low code. So by the end of the like 6 to 8 weeks, you're running an implementation of a community engagement system in your environment. And we can also start the ATO process that can run in parallel with this entire sequence, so you're not losing time there. So here's where the timing actually works in your favor. We're in mid-March right now. If you start a scoping conversation now, you can have OSCA deployed in your environment before CMS rules drop in June. So that means when the rules land, you're not scrambling to start, or you're instead refining a system that's already running and building deeper integrations. You have months of runway before that January deadline instead of weeks. The states uh, uh, sorry. And this it just sets you up for a good position. One of the things that makes OSCA different is that the work happens in public. So our roadmap lives on GitHub. You can see exactly what we're building, what's in progress, what's coming next. There is no black box there. And we'd love for you to be a part of that. If there's a feature that you want to see, you can submit it directly as a GitHub issue. If you want to follow along with development, watch the repo, you can as well. So every state is different, and we don't expect this to be like a one-size-fits-all conversation. What we'd like to do is get on a call with your team, understand your current system landscape, and scope what an MVP would look like specifically for your state. And you can reach us at medicaid@navapbc.com, and we'll be following up with everyone on this call in the next few days as well.